Hi, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing good, Heidi. How about you?
Well, I think I'm hanging in there. For another-
Enjoying the snow?
I am. How about you?
Yes, it's lovely right now and it's all fresh and clean.
It is, yeah. It's much better than the rain that we were getting. So
Here, here.
I'm kind of surprised that not more folks have. Oh, I spoke too soon. There's Nevin.
Speak and it shall. Hi, Nevin.
Hi, Tyler. How are you?
Doing good.
Well, yeah, about ready for the kids to go on break.
No, we have a lot to do for the rest of the week. It's going to be a long 2 weeks out of school, so much to do to prepare.
Yeah, I am already missing my students right now. They're in finals week and they don't have anything to do for me during finals week. Mhm.
Oh, looks good. So
I think so.
I'll head back.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Let me know if anything comes up.
Okay. Cole is in here helping me because when you do this once a month, it's not enough.
Well, good to have you with us, Cole. Thanks for being here. I see Sandra logging on. Hello, Jenny. How are you?
Good, how are you, Nevin?
I'm doing
Hi,
well.
Jen.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Ginny, I have to tell you, I was thinking of you as I always do when I just flew down to Denver for the weekend and came back. And I always take only my essential items out of my wallet and travel with those because I remember, do you remember when we were both at the Missoulian and you went to Chicago and your big wallet got lost and you were like, I don't know why I had my Costco card in Denver or in Chicago, and I always remember that when I go traveling and I don't take my big giant wallet.
Very good, Jen.
I always think of you. It was a very good life lesson I learned from you.
Well, me too. And I carry like one credit card just
Yeah. And no check.
all the time, and my debit card. They're all in the drawer at home, even whenever I leave the house. That was really very terrible.
Yeah, I remember. And then
Somebody stole my wallet in the airport.
and then they tried to buy gas immediately or something.
They were trying to buy gas with my debit card when I was calling the bank. When Betsy and I split it up and she was calling some and pretending she was me, I was calling others.
She was such a good friend like that.
We were calling the reception desk at the paper telling Tandy, look up the number for the Bon Marché.
What stopgap measures?
It was bad.
I'm glad to hear the system works and that our finances are in the past are secure.
That was before cell phones.
Yeah, and look at, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Oh, well, like on my phone carrier, I've been invited to put everything else, ID
Oh,
and
yeah.
credit card. So someone said, don't do that. If you lose this phone, you will have lost all.
Yes, you will.
So I've divided up my vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell my friend to take all of her cards out of her phone. I say, you want to just lose everything in one fell swoop? I mean,
Right.
it's your prerogative, but I wouldn't recommend
It's
it.
super scary. And then if they had your phone and all your credit cards, that would just be the worst.
It could go to town.
Hey, Joel, I'm not trying to hijack the meeting. We're Nevin. Are you going on vacation for the holiday?
Yes, on Wednesday.
Oh, God. Okay. I need to talk to you about 2 very important items before you go.
Okay,
Maybe even after this meeting.
sure. We
Okay.
can hang on after
Okay.
the meeting.
I will not speak for another hour.
You guys, I wouldn't recommend that you tag it onto this because it will be
No,
recorded.
not on Zoom.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Not
All
on,
right, thanks.
You want
I
to
did.
call each other.
Yeah,
no, I do not want to talk on Zoom any more than I have to.
Well, no,
Okay.
you're going to be on YouTube is where you're going to be.
Speaking of which, I call this meeting to order at 2:04 p.m. Mountain Standard Time in Missoula, Montana, of the Missoula Civic Television Advisory Commission. Hi, folks. It's lovely to see you all. Heidi, I believe we have quorum. Is that correct?
We actually need 6, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6. Yes, we do.
Fantastic. That means that we can engage in parliamentary business, which is my favorite kind of business. Lovely to see you all again. Glad we have Mike Painter back with us from the MCAT board. I'm glad we're joined by a member of the public, Alexander Fasika. Once again, we really appreciate that level of civic participation by this nice young man. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes or any questions on those before I would just move a slate vote to approve those minutes? If anyone wants to make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Vice Chair Vasika. I'll just go ahead and put us into an acclamation vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from October 18th and November 15th, please say aye.
Aye.
I
And any opposed? And I believe the ayes have it. Lovely. I'd love to just move us into public comment right now. Is there any comment from members of the public?
Actually, Nevin, we did have 2 sets of minutes. Was that for both?
Yes, I decided to just move that as a slate vote if that's appropriate.
Perfect. Nope, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, not to worry. I appreciate the clarification. But yeah, any public comment? Mr. Painter, if you've got anything, we'd love to hear.
I just have benefited greatly just this morning from MCAT's work. They posted the Tuba Christmas, which occurred on Saturday, and I was there in person. It was much colder than it is now in my living room. Anyway, one of the retired firefighters, who's 81 years old, plays his tuba in Tuba Christmas, and so I'll be sending that link out to all the retirees, and they will enjoy Joe's tuba playing very much. So thank you for that. And I think, Joel, that the bell choir concert will also be on MCAT. I think you guys were there yesterday as well.
Yeah, that's right. It will be in January.
Well, my heart is full of Christmas spirit, so thank you.
You're welcome. I thank you.
Nothing like spreading some Christmas cheer with Tuba Christmas. Thank you for that, Mr. Painter. Is there any other public comment that's not seen as panelist at this time? Seeing none, we'll just move into our continuing business. Joel, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know what we got coming up on Civic Television.
That's all right. So I felt a little sluggardly in regards to the city of Missoula because we hadn't had any assignments lately. It sounds like summer coming up. So I listed all the meetings that we're doing, and it seems like there's quite a few. I'm not going to go through them. Maybe I'll count them. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 22. We're doing 24 meetings. And that is either we're attending the Zoom or we're fetching it off of YouTube and getting it onto the Civic channel. So it seems like we have standing orders, with the county now through the public library. We're always recording tiny tales and story time. As the pandemic loosens up, Lord willing, maybe there'll be less of that. I don't know. The special event will be caroling at the library this December. The Makerspace has been offering a series on intellectual property rights basics like trademarks, copyrights, things like that. And we've been recording all of those. We've been continuing to record the holiday community cooking series at the demo kitchen on the 3rd floor. And then Pam Carlton, who's head of youth services, she and I are doing an animated calendar of events and programs at the library, because now a great number of groups are using the beautiful Cooper rooms A and B. So there's people that come to the library. There's a yarn club that meets every Friday at noon. There's a group called Improv Anonymous that helps people explore their ability to do improvisational comedy. There's just a whole host of groups that use the building now. So we're trying, to let the community know what's going on in the building if they want to join, in addition to the regular programming of MCAT, of Families First, of Spectrum, of the library. So for county also, we did the Larchmont Golf Course property development proposal. Ron is going to revisit the volunteer training video for the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula. They wanted to wait and see if they couldn't do more stuff without people having masks on as they interact on camera. And that seems to be an issue where people don't want to do stuff with masks on for a television show. University of Montana, we did finish a water table monitoring training video for Spectrum, and we do have a series with the Mansfield Center. The last one seemed really poignant, and that's maintaining civility in an age of division. The sports continue. Apparently now MCPS is in the basketball phase. And the community events have been Bonner Milltown. We do a series with them. The last one was Mullen Monuments. Arts Missoula. Scott is going to live stream the high school talent show. It's called High School. Is it called Spotlight? Spotlight. Yeah, first night Spotlight. And then we're also going to have events at the library for first night. So MCAT's going to have different activities for people to do along with the partners and the library. We're continuing to do the Big Sky Passenger Rail monthly meetings. We did for Missoula Downtown Association the reverse parade of lights and the holiday stroll. Families First is doing a series which is like a best practices parenting workshop, along with their Montana Happiness Project, which is kind of like a suicide prevention. And that's a talk show with various practitioners talking about what they call like the Rocky Mountain Suicide Belt or something. Kim Anderson and I had a lovely interview with Montana State Poet Laureate Mark Gibbons on Friday. I really enjoyed it. Mark Gibbons is working with MCAT to do a series called Poets of Montana. He's partly motivated by recalling like his heroic figures he felt were underrecorded, like James Welsh, Ed Leahy, other folks, Patricia Godeke. He wished there was more of her in her day. So what he's doing with MCAT, with Ron principally, is interviews and poetry readings with poets of Montana. He's starting here locally and using our library studio. And then if the pandemic doesn't cooperate, he'll move to Zoom and do more poets of Montana in far-flung cities, but we'll help him to record those Zoom interviews and readings. We did 2 items for KBGA College Radio and Zootown Arts Community Center, their Play It Forward series, where they do a concert and name a beneficiary, a nonprofit. beneficiary for the proceeds. And Missoula City Club, did that happen just today? The day in the life of the city athlete. So that happened. As Mike Painter pointed out, Ron got the tuba Christmas in Bonner Park. And we're slated to do Homeless Persons Memorial December the 21st. The last of the Travelers Rest State Park Storytelling Saturdays was last Saturday, the 4th. And we invited, and I think this is like a little barometric of how people are deciding to do or not do stuff in public, with the pandemic fears. Typically, we have about 24 organizations respond to us, making for them like a holiday greeting public service announcement. And I sent out 200 invitations, and Susan Patrick put that on the Missoula Nonprofit Center, the function of the United Way. And she said it went like to another 900 organizations, and we had 5 responses rather than 24, 5. And I just think people are just trained not to engage in any more, in-person stuff than they have to, but I'm not sure. Then we're continuing our vaccination encouragement, public service announcements now, kind of focusing, on parents making decisions for getting their kids vaccinated. Though I was told by someone from the National Ad Council, they're going to have more stuff about boosters in January. So that is it, the report of the last month.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that, Joel. I know there's a couple things in here that I wanted to ask a little further about, but did anyone have any questions on some of the stuff that MCAT's been reporting thus far?
This is Lisa. I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say good job, Joel.
Well, thank
This is some
you,
great
Lisa.
stuff. Nice work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank
I have
you.
something to ask about if we want to do it and commit resources to it, but might not be time yet.
Oh, if it might be something new, I might move that into the next agenda, but
Okay.
wonderful. Tyler?
Joel, did you have any trouble connecting with Monty about the holiday programs and the winter events for
Well,
MCPS?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is, I CC'd you on the letter. So what Tyler's referring to is there's a new fine arts coordinator. Is that the title for the district? Fine arts supervisor.
I think is Arts Education Director is his
Arts-
formal title.
Yeah. And now I feel like one of those old people. I'd be like, the fellow that took John Combs' job, he could be there for 10 years. And I'd be like, the fellow that took John Combs' job. Well, so I wrote to him saying we typically record holiday concerts, but he never wrote back. So Ron has been to 5 MCPS holiday concerts, and he just came in, set up his camera and his microphone and everything. And I said, well, did you ever hear back from the guy that took over John Combs' job? And he said, no. And I said, well, nobody escorted you out. I guess it's all cool. So we're going ahead with our MCPS holiday concerts from middle and high school. And I know when things settle down, and this is partly, I'm blaming the long-term effects of the pandemic, like if there wasn't a pandemic, I would have interviewed Monty, on the talk show or something. Now I just wrote to him out of the blue, said, hey, we didn't do any of this last year. Now we're doing it. Okay, but I hadn't heard back.
I think
and
all
we're
but
doing
one
it.
of our elementary holiday programs was virtual, so there wasn't a whole lot going on, but we were supposed to have provided you with a calendar of those events, and then you could let us know which ones you needed help with or had further interest in. So I apologize that didn't get to, and I'll follow up with Monty. so that
Okay,
we
thank
can-
you. I mean, Ron's been
that
going,
calendar.
just historically, it seemed like the district had decided not to do elementary because some parents were concerned, like their kids are on cable TV or, a lot, especially with younger children. So we had settled on doing middle and high school concerts the last 10 years or so.
We're able to get that connected together. Yeah, anything else on the schedule as it currently exists? Suppose my thoughts might go along better later on in the meeting as well. I'll just move into anything new to potentially get some recordings on. Ginny, I believe you had something.
I do. Trying to figure out how far back I need to go in explaining this, but among the multiple efforts that the city and county are making to help people who are living unsheltered in the community is the temporary safe outdoor space, the TSOS, which you may or may not have heard of. It is being run by United Way and Hope Rescue Mission on private land, kind of between Walmart and the Buckhouse Bridge, sort of off Mullen Road, but behind. And with support from the county and the city. And it is 20 wall tents for people to stay in. And it just passed its 1-year anniversary, which I can't believe, but yes. And it has been extraordinarily successful as far as homelessness efforts go, in that they have served 86 people in the last year, and 26 of those people they have gotten into housing, which percentage-wise is pretty big. So like more than a third of the people have ended up getting out of homelessness and being in housing. There are other people they've helped to get employment. They're doing a very good job. There's some controversy with it, of course. It's very little tax money is in it, but it's also very labor intensive. I think one of the reasons it's been so successful is that it's very staff intensive, a service rich environment, the social workers say. They have had their 1-year anniversary, and in our TSOS meeting recently, they said they really want to make a video of the success, and they actually even have at least one person, actually it's a couple, who are willing to talk about what it was like to have to arrive there and have their family split apart, and how they were helped to find housing and how it turned out for them. And they said, except we can't pay for a videographer. And I said, MCAT people. But I said, I need to find out if the will of MCTAC in allowing, probably, I think the fair way to do it would be a split between city and county hours in making a video. And I wanted to check with Joel too on capacity to do such a thing.
Yeah,
It's not like tomorrow,
no,
but I think they are anxious to do a little project.
yeah, capacity is good. I think Ron Scholl would be our videographer, and he would be available, to
Really?
do it. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he does such a wonderful job. He's great.
Yeah. University, Ginny, or MCTEC in general, university has not requested our services nearly as much, right? Because there's far less public events. I'm talking to someone, for instance, in the Alumni Association about their traditional community lecture series, which is like a function of Alumni Association. But Mansfield Center and Alumni Association are like the few of the many, many lectures we used to do pre-pandemically from university. So Ron is raring to go. He's feeling a little underutilized. So this would be a boon to him.
I think it would be a very interesting project for him too. I mean, it's super interesting, and there's capacity for telling a really great story.
Yeah.
In a time when it's hard to find really great stories to tell about homelessness.
True.
I wish I could say how many hours it would be. I have no idea. I said, well, how long of a thing do you all want to make? And they said, well, we don't know, but we just want the message to be out there and want to be able to post a video about here's the temporary safe outdoor space 1 year later. And I mean, you could expand it to be a documentary film, or it could be a short little video.
Yeah. And I think it could have use, Ginny, in other communities that are thinking about, because
Oh,
this
yeah.
probably isn't the norm that places do this, particularly, you know, urban places never would have the land to be able to do this, but places in Missoula's position probably are all over the country, and they'd be really interested to see, you know, a compelling model of how this model of temporary housing would work, you know?
Joel, you're right on that too. And in addition, we are going to have to move it in the spring. The landowner has been very generous, but the time will run out in the spring, and the temporary safe outdoor space will move somewhere, and it will transition from being tents to being hard-sided tiny shelters, almost like a tiny home thing, but not a full-fledged home. And so it's going to be in the news, and it would be great also to have a video about here's what the TSOS does. TSOS, they want us to say.
Yeah.
Here's what it does, and here are the successes.
And I
That would-
know we have footage from maybe last year. There was a couple of on-site press conferences we attended.
Yeah.
So be able to give it a little history, you know, like 1 year earlier and that kind of thing.
Mhm. So I just wanted to see if people thought that was a good use of our civic hours.
Well, for my part, I'm exceptionally open to it. I think that, you know, that's if that's a need that they have, then for my part, I'm all in favor. Does anyone else have any other thoughts about using some civic hours on some video outreach by the temporary shelter outdoor space?
This is Lisa. I agree. It's a good idea. I'd be in favor.
Me too, in favor.
With that generally in mind, would we need to formally approve a certain number of hours to move forward on that, or do we, you know, just give the green light and take care of tracking those hours as they occur?
Like, what is the rule?
Yeah, I mean,
No, Nevin, we usually approve a project. And I mean, if it was going to go 300 hours, I think that would become apparent, and Joel and I would come back to MCTEC and say, oh gosh, this is big, but it usually works out okay just to approve the hours. Do you think, Joel?
I do. I mean, if you'd
Project.
like, it sounds legalistic, you know, if you say not to exceed and then stick a number in,
Right.
not to exceed 65.5 hours. Without
I
further
think-
consultation.
I think we would be there if we were very pressed for hours.
Yeah, which my understanding is that we're not remotely pressed for hours.
No.
At
Oh,
this time.
no.
In which case we could just call it not to exceed 500 hours without further consultation, with the understanding that we will definitely be consulting about it one way or the other, because I'm sure we'll want to hear how that's going in the new year. Yeah, in that case, I suppose it's probably most appropriate to view that as a motion. Ginny, would you like to make that motion?
I move we spend some civic television hours on an informational video about the temporary safe outdoor space 1 year later.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Sandra. All those in favor of applying some civic hours to the TSOS, please unmute and say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. And the ayes have it. Wonderful. Well, thank you for bringing that up, Jenny. I think that's, I'm really glad that we were able to identify that need and connect them with MCAT. So, Joel, I look forward to seeing what Ron does with that.
Hey, cool.
Yeah, that's
Thanks, you
great.
guys.
And it's great help for the city and the county in communicating about homelessness and our efforts to help people who are living unsheltered in our community. It's very, very challenging all the time. So Joel, what I'm going to do is I will introduce you to Ashley, who is kind of in charge. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Know it.
Wonderful. Anyone else have anything new that we might get some recordings of before I go to my laundry list of stuff that I'm gonna throw at Joel? Seeing none, just for my own sake, Joel, at a certain point, I'm going to send a number of University of Montana student groups your way. There's a couple things coming up that they're looking for videographers for, and I was talking to one of my MFA grad students about how she's really strapped for her MFA thesis show budget because she wants a videographer and she can't afford them. I was just like, what are you talking about? This is a University of Montana event. Of course you can go talk to them for a videographer. And so I'll probably have the folks, probably Joe Godfrey at the Artist Collective, talk to you about that show at some point. And then admittedly, I'll just confess to a failure to connect with you about a concert that happened today that was put on by the Birding Club, which is becoming way more active than anyone would have thought for a brand new student group at the university. Had a nice little trip down to New Mexico to find a blue mockingbird that has apparently only been spotted in the United States 7 times. And so they are doing some stuff and might reach out to you here soon. And I'll get you in contact with those folks, Joel.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's see. Without any other new business to discuss, we've heard from Mike Painter over from the MCAT board. Anything else on the MCAT board side of things?
I don't think so, Nevin. Thank you very much.
Oh, we're always happy to have you. I don't believe we have any held agenda items. The last thing. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
Yes, please.
Nevin, this is Lisa. I just wanted to ask a question. I wasn't exactly sure where to ask it, but I just wanted to verify. So I was looking in the minutes from last month and there was a discussion about that TDS Metrocom cable franchise that's going to be coming. And Jenny had asked if they do a franchise agreement with MCAT and Joel said yes. But I'm just wondering, is that like a couple years out, Joel, or when will we be looking for that, do you think?
They TDS wants to break ground in the spring. So there's movement this week. It's negotiation, and in the email it says don't talk about it. But so there's a movement this week to meet with the city's telecommunications specialist, Brian Grogan, to respond to the latest elements in that contract negotiation with TDS. But the expected timeline, the hoped for timeline, the probably going to happen timeline is it will be presented before the council in January or February.
A franchise agreement with MCAT?
No, I mean, the franchise
What?
agreement is between the city of Missoula and the franchisee
Oh,
cable company TDS. But MCAT plays a role partly to the grace of City Attorney Jim Nugent and partly to the 30 years of self-sacrificing service this organization has provided to this community, so that there are provisions within the franchise agreement that directly affect the health and well-being of the community access television. So I've been invited to most of the discussions that are surrounding the treatment of public access within the franchise agreement.
So Joel,
So
is
it's
it,
not sorry, so it's not a separate contract then with MCAT or a separate agreement with MCAT. It's just part of the larger agreement with the city then, is that correct?
That's right. The bulk of
Okay.
the contract, like maybe it's 20 pages, and imagine like 17 pages are all about how are you going to start digging? What are you going to do if you hit a problem? Are you going to restore stuff nicely? Are you going to make sure that customers have a good deal once you're here? How are you going to treat customers? And then the last 3 pages say, we have a vibrant public access TV station. You know, what can you offer to make sure that people can see this on your system, that you will give financial support to the extent as provided by federal law. So that's like the last 3 pages, but you know, MCAT would be named specifically in the agreement and have about 3 pages dedicated to what TDS would do for the MCAT. But by law, these cable agreements are between governmental entities and the cable companies.
so could the city, is it a matter of course that part of TDS's cable franchise fee would also go to support MCAT? And if so, would TDS then broadcast MCAT programming and have a Civic channel?
Yes, yes, they would. They would agree to carry MCAT's 2 channels on their system and add a third if the situation, the volume of information warranted it.
So we'd be on our way to MCAT world domination?
I'm afraid so.
I hope so.
We've
Holy
already
cow.
taken over the Facebook. You know, we have about 5,000 followers on the Facebook and maybe 500 followers on the Instagram. So yes.
Okay. I'm glad you asked that, Lisa, because I keep forgetting to ask and I'm unclear. I was unclear about it.
There's so many little facets to it, you know, and so I can't say stuff specifically about the negotiation, but that's the outline of the arena in which discussions are taking place.
Yeah. All right.
I'm glad we got that clarified. I'm very excited about that, and it was in fact one of the notable times when we actually had hitherto unknowns to us members of the public engaging in the business of the committee. Yeah, I believe it was Matt's was his name, and I'd have to look back to be sure. But yeah, it's exciting.
Matt's Larson.
Matt's Larson, that was his name. Thank you, Joel. Yeah. Anyone else have anything that's sort of outside the agenda before we talk about our next meeting dates? Wonderful. Cool. So on agenda item 8, our January and February meetings would fall normally on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and President's Day, respectively. So we have here the option of moving those meeting dates to January 24th in January, and then Monday, February 14th in February of 2022. Does anyone have any conflicts with those dates that they're aware of at this time? Wonderful.
I was just going to say, I did check to make sure the encoder was available and we're all set if it works for everyone else.
Wonderful.
I'd be happy to make that motion. Can I move both of them at once, or do you want it to be separate?
I'd accept it as a slate.
Okay, I will make that motion then.
Wonderful. So moved by Vice Chair Fasika. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Christensen. All those in favor of moving our next 2 meetings, respectively, to January 24th and February 14th, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? And the ayes have it. We've stifled the opposition. Well done, everyone. And that that about wraps it up. Does anyone else have anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, folks, I wish you all the happiest of holidays, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope you all get some rest, spend some time with friends and family. And I look forward to seeing you all in January. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ellen.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Ginny, should I call you on your mobile ending in 92?
Yes, but
Stay on the Zoom and do that conversation here.
I have to call somebody else first. Then I'll call you, okay?